system they have that tracks where crimes are happening and then directing your resources to those hot spots, if you will. So those are all things that can be done without any additional personnel, and those are the things we will be doing to enhance community policing going forward.
All right, and was it property taxes was about, was it somewhere 1 or 3? How much was the property tax?
1.6.
Well, 1.6% increase in property tax, about $3.8 million. And again, about 1% of that was voter-approved costs, and about 0.6% was new tax.
All right, and how much, like with other taxes, what other things have you proposed in the budget that relate to taxes?
Yeah, we have an increase in other revenues. The bed tax is up. We've got some Build America bond money that helps us pay down some of our debt. We've got fees and fines. Different departments have recommended some adjustments there. So those things are what account for some new revenues that we didn't have last year.
Okay.
Yes?
Can you, and I slept through econ, can you just tell me, the charts are going up in terms of monies coming in. Can you just walk me through why we are where we are with the, I mean, these, on the front page I see like personal income going up, truth barrel going up. It looks like these are good news.
They are.
And can you just walk, I'm not trying to be, I just want to understand more.
Yeah, well, I mean, if you're talking about the local economy, the national economy, which one are you referring to?
I'm just talking about
like the airport.
Yeah, I see these bars getting higher and larger, and that would indicate good news. And I'm just trying to.
Yeah, generally it is. I mean, one of the ironies of all this is that the Anchorage economy is in pretty good shape overall. We didn't take the big dips that others did, although tourism certainly suffered. And the economy looks like it's going to be steady growth going forward. But what's interesting is it's the internal economy of the city that is structurally imbalanced, because at a time when revenues were declining, in 2008, they made the choice to dramatically increase expenses. And that gap between dramatically increasing expenses and declining revenues creates the problem we have today. And that's an internal problem to the city, even though most of the sectors in the city are actually doing fairly well. So it's kind of ironic that we're not really mirroring the successful economics that surround us in our local economy.
The library at the mall, I know it's just a suggestion. Has that been atrophying? I mean, why would you I mean, was traffic down there? Are there any ideas why you would just decide to lop that off?
Well, one of the things that we found out when the library did their own study of how patrons use libraries was that the patrons at the Diamond Center, they're willing to drive to libraries, and they're willing to drive to the LUSAC for their library needs. It's not a walkable library, if you will. By comparison, the Mountain View Library that we just opened, it is a community library that is really, their foot traffic comes from the entire surrounding neighborhood, from the school next door, and it really is a walkable library. That doesn't really exist at the Diamond Center, so that one made more sense because, again, the library's own study showed that those patrons would be willing to drive for their library needs.
Less community-oriented than LUSAC.
Yes.
Granted, it's a few people have changed on the Assembly, but last year the Assembly overrode one of your vetoes on library funding. Are you confident that that's not going to happen again?
Oh, I'm not going to make predictions. What they did was actually just restored some hours of service at the Eagle River Library. We hadn't closed the library or anything. We had just really contracted some hours of operation, and they restored those. And obviously, that wasn't a major issue for us. We could live with that.
I think Ms. Jackson said, Mary Jackson said this, that last year seemed pretty rough, this process. Do you see it being less rough this time around?
Well, under the good guidance of Chairman Trainee, I think we're going to have a smooth, cooperative process this year. Oh, hi, Dick.
How are you doing?
Doing good. We hope so. I mean, bottom line is we are all in this together, and we do need to work cooperatively. It doesn't mean you're going to agree on everything. That never quite happens, and everybody represents a district that might have different priorities than their neighboring district. But somehow, every year, year after year, we put together a budget and it passes, and essentially we move along, and that'll happen again this year.
You guys want to keep going? Come on, Matt, go for it.
My favorite color is blue, and my,
It's, you can't rely on grants, but we are expecting grants because of previous grant disbursement, correct? I mean,
yeah, there's a history of
this
grants,
weird,
if you will.
There's this weird dynamic of, well, we know it's not, we can't count on it, but yet we can expect it. I'm not
Yeah.
trying to try, like, it just seems, can you explain the city's
Well, I mean, it's
relationship with grants?
Yeah, we, you know, a lot of our departments are constantly applying for grants. The Health and Human Services Department, for example, is funded mainly by grants. And so they face that challenge every year. You know, what if some of their funding for their women, infant, child program declines or drops, and they have to make adjustments accordingly. And that'll be the same here. If grants aren't maintained, you have to make adjustments if that funding source goes away. And again, I do have some hesitancy about using you know, what might be one-time or several-time money without knowing that it's going to be there in the continuum, but it's just a judgment call you make.
So we can rely on it to be within a certain range, because
I think that's probably fair.
Yeah.
If you talk to the CFO, she, you know, in tracking our revenue sources, does projections on just that sort of thing. What can we count on in the future? It's kind of how we put together our 6-year fiscal plan is, what can we count on for revenues in the future? Which ones look like they're sustainable? Which ones are going to drop off the map, and we need to prepare for that as well. Anybody else? Thank you.
All right.